Momonga, also known as Ainz, the strongest magic caster with the appearance of a skeleton. Alignment, extreme evil, sense of justice -500. To the eyes of the mortal filth around him, he looks like a being that had been formed from concentrating darkness into a single point. He is the ultimate undead, born with an innate hatred for all that lives, and whose malice is only matched by his two wisest guardians, Albedo and Demiurge. But is any of that really true? Welcome to the Library of Nazarick. Today we'll be taking a look at our favorite skeleton, Ainz, and find out if this Overlord is savior of mankind or its ultimate enemy. We will answer the question if he is good or evil. This will be a two-part video series where today we will take a broad look at Ainz himself, while in the next video we will compare him to real-world philosophies and schools of thought, so look forward to all of that. Momonga is just a video game avatar of the real-life Satoru Suzuki, a Japanese salaryman from 100 years in the future, who is probably in his late 20s or mid-30s. Firstly, let us quickly have a look at Satoru Suzuki's personal life. He lives in a dystopian corporate-controlled world. His mother died when he was very young due to being overworked. The pollution level is so extreme that the people live in arcologies, environmental domes, and when going outside they must wear gas masks to breathe. In such an environment, it's only natural that Satoru would seek a form of escapism, an MMORPG known as Yggdrasil. It's there that he found and helped build the guild Ainz, his shining everything, the one bit of light in a bleak and miserable world. Why is Satoru Suzuki important though? How much of Ainz is Satoru Suzuki? Are they the same person? We can see that Ainz has the same memories and thoughts as Suzuki, but he lacks the same emotional bandwidth that he had as a human being. Ask yourself this: would you be the same person without your greatest joys and deepest depressions? How often do you look upon your fellow man and feel empathy, love, or hatred? What would you be like if those things were all stripped away? That is the nature of Ainz. Of course, it's not quite bad. Ainz still has emotional responses. They're just deeply dulled by his undead passives. The human emotions of Satoru Suzuki still guide his actions. The cruelty that corporate masters lashed upon Hiro and Suzuki still weighs heavily on his mind. Frankly speaking, given the dark environment that Satoru grew up in, he is surprisingly nice. When speaking to Aura while riding to Goose Cave in Volume 8, he says, "We don't need to spend that much time. I'm not looking for a fight, just a chat with them." Ainz really meant it. He didn't like battles. He was willing to resort to ruthless means as long as there was something to gain, but personally he detested cruel behavior. He has seen cruelty to himself and his friends from corporations and doesn't want to repeat that cruelty. He wants to coexist. He wants to create a better world and working environment than the one that he is from. We can see this from the Emissary of the King short story, where he reflects on and aims to become a better leader. Despite his undead nature though, we can also see that Ainz is a deeply sentimental person. In the battle with Clementine, he mocks, This taunt betrays a sentimental connection that he formed with the Swords of Darkness, the adventurer group, whom Clementine killed. The blade in question is one of the ornamental blades that the Swords of Darkness each had. Ainz often puts on a tough facade, sometimes even fooling himself, but we think this quip betrays that he formed an attachment with a rookie group of adventurers from the New World. In general, This sentimentality and empathy helps protect everyone around him. Yet there's also a darker side of this sentimentality as well. In Volume 7, the workers invade the great tomb of Nazarick. Feelings of unhappiness hit Ainz when he saw the images of the stronghold he made with his comrade being sullied by the dirty feet of invaders. Although his emotions would be suppressed if it exceeded a certain threshold, it couldn't completely keep his burning anxiety down. Albedo, don't allow any of them to escape. His sentimental feelings for his guild let him condemn these people to death with no recourse. Satoru is a reasonable person until you mess with one beacon of light in his life, the guild Ainz. Yet for the most part, Ainz harbors a live and let live attitude for the rest of the world and only wants to protect his children, the NPCs, which begs the question, is Ainz really that evil? If all one needed was to have noble intentions to be a good person, well, then the world would be full of saints. As they say, actions speak louder than words. Let's break down Ainz's actions in the New World. He saved Henry and Nemo in Carna Village, rescued Inferia from the claws of Clementine, and actively helps the New World as Mammon, the adventurer. These early actions when Ainz is still running from his duties as the Overlord of the Great Tomb of Nazarick paint a good picture of what Ainz would have been without the NPCs. He values exploration, learning, and dreams of being a more heroic figure like Touch Me. There's a reason that Mammon and Touch Me both have a red cape. He cares greatly for Nazarick and its denizens and tries to improve the general working condition with showing how great of a leader he is, though he himself is still in doubt if he does everything right up to this point. However, he also went to subjugate the peaceful lizard men at Albedo's suggestion. In the Man of the Kingdom arc, Nazarick abducted about 100,000 citizens of Reista's kingdom for their own use. But wasn't that Demiurge's idea? Didn't Demiurge scheme the whole attack on the capital as Jaldabaoth? Didn't he abduct the people and start experimenting on them and other demi-humans? Wasn't it also Demiurge who misinterpreted Ainz's plan and told all the other guardians that Ainz wanted to conquer the world? Surely, it was Demiurge's plan, but it takes Ainz as the head of Nazarick, the supreme one, the ruler of the Great Tomb, to either agree or disagree with the plans of his subordinates. And as he himself states when Demiurge tells him about the people he was about to kidnap, I probably should care, but I don't. This gets to a core point of what makes Ainz arguably evil. Ainz, the guild, is everything to him. The guild members are gone. Now Ainz is the NPCs that they left behind. Those NPCs are, for the most part, incredibly evil. His core motivation is to protect them and to ensure their happiness. Unfortunately, Demiurge's idea of a fun night out would make most people's skin crawl. If it would benefit Nazarick, then Ainz will take it. Thankfully, the New World does not have much that benefits the god like Nazarick. Otherwise, Ainz follows more of a golden rule approach. An eye for an eye. Treat others as they would treat you. This can be seen with Tsuare. Ainz took her into Nazarick in part because he felt like he owed that to her sister, Ninya. That being said, when Ainz takes things, he prefers to try a peaceful approach to acquiring it. This is probably best seen in his dealings with the dwarves in Volume 11. Having said that, it's also memorable to mention that Ainz would not flinch if an enemy of Nazarick reveals themselves. The words of Gazef Stronov sum it up quite well. Gazef felt that Ainz was not a monster, given the way he had saved Carna Village. Yet, at the same time, he sensed that he was no ordinary good Samaritan. The impression he had of Ainz was that he would show no mercy to those that opposed him. Volume 9, Chapter 2. He will only be the kind ruler towards those who deserve kindness, never elsewise. When the giant of the West Goo did not want to bend the knee, Ainz killed him with his Aura of Despair 5. Conversely, he spared the innocent elf slaves of Aria, despite killing all the other workers who invaded the tomb. If you have something that interests him, such as an unique ability or talent, or are willing to swear fealty, Ainz will make you his employee under his personal protection, since he is a fairly kind businessman inside. However, if you pose any threat to Nazarick and refuse to join him, then you will be swiftly eliminated. However, this only applies in his personal dealings. Perhaps the most evil thing about Ainz is his lack of confidence. Ainz is in control of an organization that can do incredible things. His control over Nazarick is absolute. The Demiurge creates Jaldabaoth to impress him and dooms thousands to horrific deaths. Ainz does not rebuke him. He does not correct him. Terrible acts of evil are committed in his name. Ainz's motivation is to protect the happiness of the mostly evil NPCs. He does not want to change them. As Nazarick's goals expand and they take steps towards world domination, the NPCs will be given greater free rein. Events like the emergence of Jaldabaoth will keep happening. Ultimately, the casualties are Ainz's fault. When you look at Ainz's actions, they trend towards evil. The only silver lining here being that after the events of the third season and Volume 9, Ainz begins to start a plan to bring an utopia to everyone under his rule. Although his reason for doing this is not noble, he just wants to impress his friends if they return. Protecting and unifying the world is potentially a good thing. Ultimately, we don't think you can call Ainz a good person because of the methods he is allowing Nazarick to use to achieve this goal. This goal does help redeem some of the atrocities committed in his name though, as they work towards a better future. It allows for one to see Ainz's actions as not evil, but more neutral. How does Ainz measure up to other characters in the series in terms of his morality? Let's compare the moral compass of some of the characters. Purely going by karma level, the difference between Sebas and Ainz already starts with pure stats. Sebas is described as great good, with a sense of justice of 300, while Ainz is extremely evil with negative karma minus 500. It is important to point out, though, that as a player, Ainz is an exception. His courses of action are not 100% influenced by his karma level. He can actually make use of his gentleness as well. We see Sebas interacting during the Man of the Kingdom arc of Season 2, together with Climb and Brain Anglaus. Surely, as a creation of Touch Me, one of the 41 Supreme Beings, Sebas has a nicer personality than most denizens of Nazarick, since the tomb originally wasn't meant to be as evil as it turned out to be during the roleplay of the real-world players. Sebas' settings don't allow him to go past any injustice, even if that meant to undermine Nazarick in one case. However, Ainz-sama's orders always came first for the butler, so even after saving Tsuare, he would not have hesitated to instantly kill what he has saved beforehand. He could probably be best described as neutral good, since he does good deeds because of his own thoughts and his creator's settings, but follows the orders of his superior without question. Demiurge, the archdemon of the blazing inferno, seems at first glance much more wicked than Ainz, since Demiurge does not use emotions nor has any scruple to execute things for Nazarick's and Ainz's well-being. Everything outside of Nazarick is inferior and does not deserve to live, except to serve Nazarick or until told otherwise by Ainz. Interestingly enough, while Demiurge did not flinch at making Ainz a chair out of bones, Ainz did not like it, either because of his thoughts as Satoru Suzuki, or maybe because of him being a skeleton. Other than Ainz, Demiurge is a servant to his karma level and can't act differently than his settings tell him to. In that meaning, Demiurge has a full-out evil personality and would probably be classified as chaotic evil. Demiurge used the people from Reista's kingdom that were taken captive in Volume 6 or Season 2 of the anime for the Happy Farm, which Ainz isn't aware of. He ordered his subordinates to give them painless deaths to compromise them for the kidnapping, but because of his lack of information about Demiurge's true intentions with those people, he misinterpreted the situation and thought they were merely evacuated rather than used as resources. If he knew, it is possible that he would limit the use of humans and demi-humans to something less violent, but not forbid the Happy Farm in its actions.
ああ、神よ。貴様を切り刻んで豚の餌にでもしてやると。
Interestingly enough, both Tanya and Ainz start off as businessmen and later find themselves in a leading position. The only thing that Tanya wants is peace during a war that would subjugate her country and take away her only wish. Only because she told God about her lack of faith, and now gets punished for it so she can find her faith in a new life. She soon becomes the leader of a special fighting squad and actually tries to be as tyrannic as possible to be withdrawn from the front line and get her well-deserved peace. Instead, her squad starts admiring her and her guidelines. Does that seem familiar in some aspects? What if you put Ainz in Tanya's shoes? The only thing Ainz actually wanted was finding the other supreme beings, if they were with him in the new world, but was forced into conquering the world instead, and now he only does what helps Nazarick, being admired by the NPCs. Could we call him Ainzul Gon the Evil now? Speculations and comparisons are all good and well, but what does the supreme being above even Ainz think? Yes, what does Maruyama, the creator of Overlord, think about all of this? In an interview, Maruyama had this to say about the topic. I don't think Nazarick can be labeled completely evil. The world of Overlord operates on the law of the jungle, so I write as if the strong are good and the weak are bad. While some may view their actions as evil, they act on their perception of good. For example, you would be confused if someone called you evil for stepping on an ant, right? So I didn't make these settings because I wanted to express evil. This idea is explored far more in volumes 12 and 13 of the novel. Ideals without power are meaningless. Good and evil don't control the world. Real power lets you influence it. What is good for one nation can be terrible for other surrounding nations. Overlord is more interested in sidestepping the question what is good and evil, and telling stories of characters dealing with disparities in power, intelligence, and expectations. How you can be the most powerful person in the known world, but no amount of good or evil acts will solve how lonely it is at the top. As always, thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to leave a thumbs up if you enjoyed watching it, and subscribe if you'd like to see more. Special thanks to Ziggy, who translated and compiled Maruyama's interview and other content in his Overlord anthology.